All right, guys, welcome to episode 5 of the Creator Corner podcast. And today I'm joined with my friend, Max. How's it
Thanks
going
for
today,
inviting me.
Max?
I'm good. I'm good.
Uh,
So grateful to be here.
of course, dude. So, Max is a videographer, photographer, and working in a digital marketing agency right now. And Max and I have known each other for a couple of months. We met in like March or Feb, maybe.
Yeah, I think around February.
Yeah, and I was like, this guy knows what he's doing. I need to reach out to him. And then I did. We met up, and we've
hmm
been friends since. So, Max, how's your day going?
I'm good. I'm doing very good recently. Um, we just had like a team bonding event back like 3 days ago, and I was just having fun with the company. We're doing some fun activities.
Awesome, man. And I'm curious, like, could you give us a bit of a background about who you are and
hmm
like, what's the story?
For sure. So I'm Max, and I started doing videography around 3 years back.
Hmm.
I've been doing, I was doing wedding events, videography, photography for quite a while until I got hired to do creative in a digital marketing agency. So right now, not only doing videography or photography, I also write scripts or I need to do storyboarding, just like working with the other department, creating contents.
That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. Like, wow. So you've been at this for like 3 years now, and
Yeah.
like, it's yet going.
Yeah. I've been working in the office for around, well, it was since the end of March, so around 4 months now, 4 or 5 months now. Yeah.
Wow. And what's your experience been like?
Great. It's great. So we're in downtown, and there's a gym and there's a swimming pool upstairs. So that's what I do all the time before work.
Heck yeah.
And it's been great. They were really nice, and I guess it's like what I like to do. It's like my passion, where my passion's at. It's been quite busy. It will be busier when
Oh yeah.
school starts because I'm doing both at the same time. But man, it's been pretty great.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Like it's kind of my dream job. And also
Oh,
the people there, my boss, my coworkers, all super nice. Yeah.
heck yeah.
They're also pretty young. They're much older than me,
Hmm.
but they're still pretty young, and it was like pretty easy to get along with them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so this is like a potential dream job of a sort. And like, so what is it that you exactly do at the company right now? Is it like making
hmm
content for them? Like, what type of content is
What
it?
type of content? So right now, so we're a digital marketing
Right.
agency. So when our client give us the work, it goes through the marketing department, and I'm in the creative department.
Right.
So after that, the marketing department gives us like the requirements of what
Mm-hmm.
we need to do. For example, maybe we need to make a advertisement. We just did that for, Celebration of Lights,
The firework festival?
fireworks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were there shooting an advertisement for them.
Okay.
Yeah. So me and there's another videographer, we shoot the content and then we grab the footage, we get back to the office. Well, before that, of course, I mostly do all the storyboard. I do
Mm-hmm.
the thinking about the idea, the campaign, and putting it together. And then me and the other videographer, we just shoot it, and then he edits it afterwards. So we produce like advertisements. We do photography. We're mostly doing like our clients is mostly market of service, which is quite different from products. So we're not really doing like products photography, products videography, but more like events type of marketing. Yeah.
Got it. So, yeah, dude, it does sound like that's like a lot of things happening in like the company, and it's pretty good. Like, it's your dream job. So I'm curious, like, what got you like started? Like, what's that? Like, how did you get interested in like this entire industry of photography, videography, marketing? Like, what led you to this path right now?
For sure. So I had a visual arts background back when I was little. I started doing painting classes, drawing for quite a while, but it was never really like my passion, you know? it was more of something I do. So during high school, I took a photography class and a film production class, and I got hooked into it. I was started making short films, started writing scripts. Like at my free time, I do photography for my friends. I just like take pictures. And I got my first camera and then so on, so on. And then I got into wedding videography, started working, and eventually I met my boss now and I got hired into doing. Like I was still not very familiar with marketing
Right.
stuff. It's more like I was learning. Like well, of course I'm still learning, but I started working and learning at the same time there. So now it's been a while and yeah, I've been getting much more comfortable with the job and it's been great.
Well, dude, that's amazing. Like, so I'm curious, like, how did you get started with wedding photography? Because when I met you last, you were gonna head out to Seattle. You were gonna do some wedding,
Right, right,
photography things. And
right.
how did you like, how did you like land that gig to begin with? And
Mm-hmm.
like, walk us through that. Like,
So it was when started photography, wedding well, just videography at first, and I was doing events, and I think in the beginning actually it was a quite interesting story, because in the very beginning I started shooting a video for basketball club.
right.
I saw them online and then I was just doing like free work for them. I was just doing videography and then I saw this he called himself a photography guy and like photographer and then he grabbed like the
Right.
cheapest camera ever and then he was there at the basketball club and he was doing photography as well. And he was talking to me how he used to use these like expensive equipments and he used to have like his studio or whatever and then he said he just sold all of it and he's been doing pretty bad, but he has the skills. So I trusted him a lot at the beginning and I was like, "Oh, can I work for you? Can I, we can work together." And then we started working together, but then eventually I found out that he doesn't know anything about photography. Like
Oh no.
he was just like straight scamming people. And then he was basically kind of using my equipments as well.
Oh
Yeah,
God.
like he was just like a scammer, basically.
So your first
Yeah.
mentor was a scammer.
Yeah, he was a scammer, and I didn't know about it until one time his computer broke down. So he gave me his SD card so I can edit the photos for him, and I took a look. Disaster. It's
Oh my
absolute
God.
disaster. Yeah, I was and then that guy's yeah, just a scammer. The clients paid him and then I didn't get any money. It's yeah, something like
Oh my
that. And
God.
then
That's a
but
disaster
from one
recipe.
time, so how did I meet the wedding studio was that the guy was like texting this wedding studio about like collabing and I saw it and I was like and he was just complaining to me that, they said no. And I took a look, and at the time, I was like, maybe I should reach out to them and see if I can work for them. And then that's how I started. Back in high school, though, most of the time I was doing just like free work. Yeah, I was just doing like fun because I had no experience in like wedding videography. So here and there, I just go and learn, and I take some footage and I edit it myself. And then not only later and later on, I started actually getting my own gigs or doing work.
Wow, dude. So like you've done it pretty much by yourself because you had the scammer to begin with.
Yeah.
And like how much was he even like charging people that like it turned out to be, if you don't mind me asking, like
hmm Like in the
approximate,
beginning,
yeah, like an
I think the
approximate range?
guy charged them like actually pretty cheap, like $200 per day. Yeah, it was like it's just at the beginning of the time, I just didn't know anything. I didn't know like absolutely anything about the industry, about how it works. Like even photography, I was like a more like amateur or beginner. Yeah, I just only did it for
Mm-hmm.
a few months. Yeah.
And so I'm assuming like you must have learned some things. There must have been some takeaways from this guy you were mentored by
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning. What were your
Right.
takeaways from that? Like,
Uh-huh. Takeaways from that, I think gotta be careful. Yeah, you gotta. But it's, a lot of times though, you gotta see it. You gotta meet it to know to learn the lesson. You get what I mean? Like if I didn't meet that guy and and got scammed, I would have never been so careful or I would have never knew about these kind of things happening. Yeah.
oh yeah, for sure. So this is more the key takeaway from
Yeah.
this guy was like a learning experience.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
yeah, so it's a good thing in a way that it happened early on in your career.
Yeah.
So like you're more like wary of people like that later down the line,
For
which is yeah,
sure.
pretty good. So like when you started off, you're doing free gigs, and
Mm-hmm.
how important is that? Like when you're
Um,
starting out?
I'd say important, especially Vancouver. I think is a little bit hard to. The job market's not as great. So definitely, when you don't have any portfolio work, most of the time you gotta do free work or like you just gotta go out and seek opportunities. I feel like Vancouver is a city where it's like all connections. It's quite a small city, and like a lot of people
Small?
knew.
It's pretty big, I'd say.
Depends where you're comparing
Fair
to.
enough.
If it's like New York or Toronto, is comparingly a little bit smaller. And from my experience when I work in videography things, a lot of times like this videographer guy or this film guy I know, like they know each other. Yeah. Like they have connections each other. And a lot of times it's just like unexpected that, they just all know each other. So I think it's important that you're willing to do work out there and of course don't get scammed. You gotta know when people are scamming you or if the guy's legit or not. But definitely it's good to do some fun projects outside and just gain some experience.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And like you mentioned, the Vancouver job market's like, well, not the best.
Yeah.
So, and having connections is really important. Is it the same in like the photography and videography industry as well? Like having those connections,
Right,
would
right.
that be important?
For sure. I think it's actually probably one of the industry that requires the most connections, especially photography and videography. Because I always like, as far as I worked, a lot of gigs are usually just from recommendation. It's like, oh, I know this guy that does this thing. I
Mm-hmm.
know this other guy that, does videography. It's all like word by mouth.
Right.
Yeah. There's like a lot of the job opportunities in there is mostly about people recommending each other or, who knows whatever. And I worked in quite there are like some indie short film sets. And they're not like, big production. They're more like under 100 or 30K ish production. So a lot of times it's like they actually do free work after even they after graduating from Vancouver Film School. Yeah. And they mostly know each other. Like a lot of times they just do work for each other.
Right. So
Yeah.
like it's based on like, oh, I know this guy. He could potentially get the job done. Like how I, sent I think one of my friends over to you. I'm not sure if he reached out to you,
Yeah.
but like it's kind of like how the industry goes in this scenario. And I'm curious,
Right.
like you mentioned like you started doing these photography gigs and everything in the beginning by yourself, but like how did you
Right.
teach yourself like, aperture and like for those of you who don't know, before this podcast started, Max was like on behind the camera, like checking the settings and like he just fixed it all for me, like big time. So shout out to him for that. But um, like how did you teach yourself these things? Because I find it
Right.
complicated, dude. Like it's
Right.
hella confusing.
Honestly, like 2024, YouTube. YouTube's the way, yeah. I would say I learned a lot from YouTube, actually, yeah. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when I took classes in high school, honestly, it didn't teach me anything. Because the teacher wasn't really, it was like a new teacher and she didn't really know what to teach. Mostly
Right.
she was showing us like also YouTube videos.
Oh.
Yeah. But I learned a lot from seeing what other people doing online, and of course it combines with practicing myself, doing it, you know. You just gotta go out and shoot, and a lot of times there are things you can learn online, but there are also a lot of things you gotta learn from actually doing it.
Yeah, for sure. Like I couldn't agree with you more. Like I think in 2024, YouTube is like the biggest educator in my opinion. Like
For sure.
I've learned how to edit videos on Premiere Pro via YouTube and things like that. So I definitely couldn't agree with you more. Like YouTube's the number one way to learn everything. And from YouTube you can like reach out to these creators and they could like potentially mentor you with different things. Like would you agree
Right.
with that?
I personally never tried that. And mostly, yeah, I would say also one point though is that I learned a lot from working. Yeah. Working is probably actually like YouTube was my basis when I learned, all the basic stuff, shutter speed, aperture, or like what kind of video formats, but actually doing work was what taught me most of the experience. Yeah.
Right. So like actually getting physical with no well not like pause. But like like actually taking action, like taking the photography, like applying what you learned basically was the most important thing for
Right.
you to like
Yeah.
actually kickstart the journey.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing, dude. So would you say you would start a YouTube channel teaching what you've learned for like other guys or other gals, who want to
Right.
like
I
learn
think
everything?
maybe not a YouTube channel. I haven't thought about that. It's because I'm just busy. Yeah. So busy with work, other things as well. It's been, yeah, it's, and school's starting soon. So what my schedule looks like is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll be at office from 10 to 8. And Tuesday and Thursday, I'll be in school like 8:30 to 6:30. So I think I'll be like completely burned out
Oh yeah. Oh no, for sure.
from school and work at the same time. I will still I probably will do more Instagram contents now, like reels, doing just like simpler contents. Especially Instagram is a lot easier for um like short video format is kind of the trend right now.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's a lot easier to get views or to get like a reach from Instagram.
Oh yeah, for sure. I couldn't agree more. Like for me personally, I'm focusing mainly on YouTube before I actually move on to Instagram. Um, I could do it simultaneously, but like you mentioned, workload with school, work and then podcast and then YouTube. Like
Right.
currently, I'm working in sales. If you didn't know,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm gonna be working full time with school as well.
Right.
So, like, how many courses are you taking this coming semester?
So for me, it's kind of different. We're doing only 3 courses, but 2 of the classes is 6 hours long.
Six. Wait, what? Why?
It's just 6 hours long. I don't know. Like it's called the studio class, so we just like listen to some lectures and then we gotta do work as well. So it's like 3 and 3 hours, but it's like combined together. It's like
My
six
God.
hours long.
So 3 hours back to back?
Yeah,
Oh my God, dude, that's bad.
it
Like,
is. It is
yeah,
kind of bad. It's 12:30 to 6:30.
dude. Like, can you leave in between?
I think there's like a 20-minute break in between.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
So after 3 hours, you get a 20-minute break, and then again
And then
another
another
3 hours.
30, 30,
My,
3 hours,
oh
yeah.
my days, dude.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And So that's two of the classes, which are 6 hours each.
Yes, and then another class of 3 hours only. But so I'm putting it like a Tuesday and then Thursday, so you know, I free up my other days so I can go to work.
Fair enough. And like, how are you gonna, catch up with the schoolwork? How are you gonna do it in class?
Right,
You are in class, right?
right.
So,
I feel like since I'm in an art school, it's a little bit easier to balance. Is because, if you paint for 2 hours, it's one project. If you paint 20 hours,
oh yeah,
it's also one project. Yeah.
right,
So it really depends how much weight I put onto school but right now I'm studying illustration and honestly it's not where I'm heading to, or it's not
right,
gonna be my career path. I have been thinking about switching my major, but mostly right now I'll just put like less effort in school as it's not like the most helpful thing for my career right now.
right.
And I think I'm prioritizing work experience and yeah, it's great. It's great.
Dude, that's like pretty good. Like, it's it's a good thing that you know like which like what do you want to do in the future, because I think like you're 21 or 20 or 19 or
19. Yeah.
19. So like most people like our age group, we like it's very hard to like kind of figure out like what do you want to do later down the line with
Yeah,
things like this. So it's a good thing that you've got that figured out. And sorry, is the audio fine?
I think so.
Yeah, okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like it's yeah. So how are you gonna like? What's the Google Calendar looking like for you? Because I feel like time management is gonna be a
Mm-hmm.
big factor for you this coming semester.
For sure.
So
Like
could you walk us through that?
my calendar, if you ever look at it, it's all yellow yellow. Yellow is like just like what I have to do. It's like usually all yellow and then well, right now summer I only work like 3, 4 days. But like on the weekends, I just gotta go out and have fun,
Oh yeah,
hang out with people. It's like what recharge me
oh yeah,
again,
for
yeah,
sure.
for work. It's like I gotta have some fun on the weekend.
And what do
Yeah.
you do for fun?
But for fun, just hang out with friends, going out, eating. Well, I play video games sometimes
Oh,
as well.
which ones do you play?
League of Legends.
League of Legends. Dude, I want to hop on that. I got an
Yeah?
Xbox recently in Marketplace.
Oh, yeah?
Xbox Series S, two
Series
fifty
S,
dollars.
yeah?
$250.
Mm-hmm.
That's a steal deal.
Yeah.
Dude, so I want to hop on that game though. Like currently I've been playing FIFA and
FIFA,
WWE
yeah?
2K24.
Yeah.
So, dude, I gotta hop on. You gotta teach me. But
For sure, for sure.
yeah, dude.
Uh-huh.
So I'm curious, like now that you've got this set aside during the semester, you've got like your work cut out for you.
Right.
So is it gonna be like you're working like 12? You mentioned you're working
Mm-hmm.
8 to 12, no 6 to 8 in the morning for
Um,
work days.
for work days, I work on around 10 p.m. We start, no, 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 sorry, 10 a.m. We start work at 10 a.m. and I end work at 6 p.m.
10
Yeah,
a.m. to
so
6
10 to
p.m.
6. It's like 1 hour apart from 9 to 5.
Right,
Because my boss was like, he doesn't want to do the bad traffic time.
right.
So he was like, you know what? Let's move like 1 hour
That's
later.
that's so fair
So it's
though.
like 10 to 6. Yeah,
That's valid though. I like that. So I've got a couple of questions
for
set
sure.
out set out for you, like
Yeah?
we have for like all other guests. I
Okay.
got it on the little phone here, but let me get that up for you. So gonna ask you a couple of questions, and these
For
are like
sure.
really thought-provoking questions for
Mm-hmm.
your career, or like more like the process of your career. So that being said, like, could you walk us through like what the creative process is? Like, how do you approach a new project, a shoot, things like that?
New project to shoot. Um, Actually, let me explain to you about how the creative process in for my work right now.
Okay,
Yeah, because since I worked in there, I haven't really been doing freelance work or like projects on my own. So I'll just walk you through on like when we receive a project and how do I or how do we approach it? So in the beginning, when we get the request from a client about a project, it goes through my boss and then it goes to the marketing department. So what they would do is they'll run the stats, they'll do research, and after that, they'll come up with a content strategy plan and then move that to my department, like to our department, and we have to take a look at it, what we need to do, and also, what kind of content we have to create. What like within that content, what message we have to say or what meets the client's requirements is listed in the document. So then I'll start to do, you know, I'll pitch ideas, draw storyboards for the advertisement, right? Or
Dude,
like the
that's like
content.
corporate stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So after the idea gets approved, we start working on it. We plan, which day we're shooting, what equipments, who do we need, actors, we get everything sorted, and then we start shooting it. And after shooting it, of course, we make sure the SD card is safe, the data is safe, and we start editing it. Yeah. Usually there's only one person editing it. That depends kind of what video we do. Sometimes it's like one person do one of the parts and then it moves over to another person to finish the editing.
Hmm.
Or like doing secondary color grading
Right.
or yeah.
So it's kind of like a entire like movie sort of thing. Like, so you finish the work, it goes to editing and then post production, things like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow,
Yeah.
dude, that's
Cuz it's gotta have like a system doing,
right.
projects as well. It's because it's like working as a company,
Oh
so
yeah, for sure.
yeah. I have to follow the instructions
Right.
and
No,
yeah.
that makes sense. And you mentioned, right, like for specific projects, you got to invoke certain emotions
Mm-hmm.
with certain specific projects. So how do you invoke that emotion through like filming, or how do you like do you like zoom in, like how does that work? I'm curious.
Sorry, could you repeat that again?
Yeah, like how do you like invoke emotion like
Emotion?
with the projects you're shooting? Like you mentioned it, right?
Right.
Like the clients want a specific emotion or a
Mm-hmm.
message passed.
Yes.
How do you get that through,
How
filming?
honestly, I guess it's like experience. Yeah. Like how I do it is mostly from well, of course I learn from other people's work and I get inspired. So as more work you see, the more you kind of know what usually happens, what to do in certain situations. Like, how do you come up with an idea that portrays the feeling you want to put for the message very well? It all comes from honestly just experience. And also, you just gotta see what other people are up to, what they do, how they do it, and try to get inspired to do your own work.
Right. Wow. Like I've seen a bunch of, YouTube videos trying
Mm-hmm.
to explain how emotions are captured through
Right.
filming and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
one process came up called color theory. Are you
Mm-hmm.
familiar with color theory?
Color theory, yeah.
Yeah. So for our viewers, could you give an explanation of like how important that is?
Color theory in terms of videography or
Videography,
photography,
photography.
right. Um, well, that comes to very technical parts, and I honestly learned it mostly. Well, first of all, I had a visual arts background, and that helped me a lot in like learning
Mm-hmm.
like just colors in general. Like honestly, doing color grading or editing the colors on Lightroom for photos, the most important thing is you could just gotta have an eye for it. Like Lightroom editing apps like DaVinci Resolve, Premiere, they're all just a tool. You can
Right.
learn it always on YouTube somewhere else. But what is the most important is that you know what looks good, you know what looks bad. Yeah. Like you just gotta learn from what other directors are doing. what kind of colors portrays whatever, because colors gives a lot of emotions, like how warm, what kind of color,
Oh
what's
yeah.
the contrast. Like it makes the image not only looking better, but it portrays the message better
Mm-hmm.
as well.
No, I couldn't agree more. Like color theory is a big part, even for YouTube videos. If you notice the thumbnails, like there's a certain background
Right.
to each thumbnail,
Mm-hmm.
which invokes a certain emotion. For me, like if I use a yellow background color, it's invoking emotions of happiness
Right.
and things like that, which
Right.
I noticed very recently,
Mm-hmm.
and I started applying it to my own videos. So I think like color theory plays a big part on human psychology, or like
That's very
invoking
true.
certain message, like emotions. But that being said, it's time for a quick little break. So Max, we got a fortune cookie here.
Okay.
So you got to pick one,
Yeah,
and just tell us what you get.
I think this one looks pretty attracting.
Oh yeah,
Should
just
I
just for
open it
con,
in the
open it. Yeah, take
in
a
the
tissue.
bowl
Or
or
you could take a tissue.
take a
Yeah,
tissue?
just for context, our two guests before have got the
Yeah,
same.
got the same.
Got the same. I got the same thrice, and we have 5 episodes
Maybe
in.
I'm different.
Maybe a different. Let's see. We can this. What do we have?
Fun and excitement will soon be yours.
Oh, that's a new one.
There's a new one?
Very exciting.
Yeah?
New semester. I,
Yeah,
I can I
it's
can feel it
actually very
coming.
true.
I can
Yeah,
feel it coming,
it
dude. Fun
is.
and excitement
It
soon
is.
gonna be us doing what you love. Couldn't
Yeah,
agree
for
more.
sure. Especially school starting soon, you know?
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Let's crack
I guess
mine.
it's a sign.
It's a sign. I swear to God, if I get the same one, I'm gonna go on a rampage. Let's go, new one,
New one?
guys. The project that you have in mind now gains momentum. And this is the project I'm working on right now. The
Yeah,
podcast,
for
guys.
sure.
The Creators Corner podcast. So hope yeah, that worked out pretty well. Huh. Maybe you are a good luck charm. You can go ahead and have these by the way if you want.
It's okay.
Yeah. Awesome. So Max, that being said, I've got a couple of more questions which I feel like
Sure.
people would definitely want to know the answer to.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, like how do you keep like your creativity flowing, especially like when you're feeling uninspired?
For sure. So talking about that, I'll give some background first.
Right.
So one of my biggest stress right now, or what I have been having, is to how to improve myself as I'm busy with work and school.
Right.
Because I won't have as much time, doing research on my own or, just seeing more to know more. And like sometimes I feel, I might be stuck on like a idea or I'm stuck on how to get better. For me, how it works is that some people just say, "Oh, just keep practicing, just keep doing it." But honestly, I am not like a big supporter of that. Like I think keeping a consistency is important, but at the same time, take some time going on a different route or just like looking around behind you to see other things is as important as going forward. Like if you walk the same exact way 100 times in front and then you fail every time, it doesn't necessarily help you as efficiently as, just like looking around, ask for help. Just like sometimes, going on a vacation, traveling, go somewhere else, it inspires you a lot. Like your vision is always the most important thing ever.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Like what you gotta have is always like your vision, your knowledge. You always gotta need to know better, know more, see more. Then you'll get inspired naturally.
Dude, like I couldn't agree more. Like actually I'm gonna have to take your advice into
Right?
consideration for myself because I've been so fixated on, my social media and editing and
Right.
it gets like kinda gets very monotonish. Like it gets pretty like standard.
Yeah.
There's no excitement in wanting to
Mm-hmm.
work on these projects anymore. So like Could you give us an example of what's inspired you?
For sure. So I just went back to China, Asia for a travel to visit my relatives, my family, just 2 months ago. And honestly, whoa, it's like seeing what people do in another country, like what kind of advertisement they have, what kind of contents they usually put out, like in a different setting and a different new audience, like seeing what other people do in another country, like kind of jumping out from like a comfort zone, because I've always been here and all I know is like what people do in here. So when I get to see like what other people do in a different country, and also sometimes it's also just like I also do, traveling photography. I just take pictures there, like seeing just small things in people's life or some village, some like interesting stories.
Right.
It inspires you a lot and it adds so much to what you see and, what you can take from it. It's always like, you see a lot of things, but you gotta learn how to turn it into something useful.
Oh yeah, for sure. And dude, that's pretty deep. Like, I like that. I like that. And how's like, what creative thing have you learned in China that you brought back here?
Right. So that might be you put me on the spot here. I
Yeah.
might be hard for me to give you like a
Give me one or two.
yeah, give you like a very throughout great response. But I would say one thing that I just, on top of my head is actually I learned for photography, actually not
Mhm.
for work related, but like because I do mostly videography work, and photography is more like my side hobby or like what I'm like more passionate about
Oh
just
yeah.
having fun with. Yeah. So I did a lot of travel photography in China. I traveled to some other cities and took some pictures, and I was just like walking in some really old, I guess, sort of poor areas, you know. What I learned about photography from this time was that photography is mostly about what you want to say from the photo, like what kind of story you're trying to tell. Like from a photo, like when as you see, masters of work, like from photography, usually it's not like, oh, of course they got like great composition and, you know, even if you got a great message, you gotta have like a great skills, like techniques to back it up. But what I see all the time is that usually they're very, like when you look at the image they took, you know immediately what they want to say. Yeah. Like message is like what is the most important in art area, like the in art. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Like
Dude, that's good.
when I'm taking photos now, um I don't really press the shutter as much anymore. Like I know a lot of photographers, they just go out and then they take picture of whatever. Now I get very selective with what I want to shoot. So when I go on a photo walk, I go out for a photo shoot. I use my eyes first to see, not my camera. So I see what is there, what is interesting, what catches my eye, what I want to say, and I use the camera as a tool to capture it. Instead of like just like taking picture of whatever that looks nice or like it's like holding the camera and then seeing whatever and like, oh, this one looks nice. Let me take a picture of this like close up of a leaf or
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
like I think
Dude, that's what I do. I just like close up of random things.
that's like what I used to do. Now I focus a lot more. Like even if you're doing like commercial portraits, let's say, like what kind of emotions do you want to see from this person? What this person wants to portray themselves, professionalism, easygoing, or yeah, anything. Like you always gotta know who you're trying to target and what you're trying to say.
Dude, that's awesome. Like, wow. I for photography, I just, whip up my phone and like I just do like that's pretty much it. And like that's good, that's good. And who has been your inspiration? Like who is the person you look up to when it comes to like what you want to
Mm-hmm.
do? Who is doing it
Mm.
already?
That actually is great question. I would say in terms of like online, there's a YouTube channel where I learned everything. It's like a Chinese channel though. They're like a big company. They're called Media Storm, and the guy's called Tim, and he started doing videography for himself, and then he is all like I learned so much from him. Like what he says on YouTube. Like, I basically learned 90% of just like knowledge wise. I learned it from him. That's that's pretty much like my mentor for online. But in terms of in person, I would say shout out to Bowden Lee.
Who's that?
Bowden is an influencer. He has 500K on TikTok and Instagram,
Wow.
and he's currently working with me. So he's my coworker
Oh
in
wow.
Pillar Digital, and yeah, it's been great working with him. Yeah, like s- he's like a really great event shooter. He does know a lot of great transitions, and like he knows really good of what he's doing, and I've been learning quite a lot from him. Collabing with him was like probably like one of the best things I can do.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. And what's
Yeah.
like the biggest takeaway you've gotten from him?
I've gotten from him probably the transitions he do. Like cuz before I started working with him or in the company, um most of the work I do is like wedding or short films. So I never really did like any quick transitions or I don't know how to do like captivating short contents. But Bolden is like a influencer doing photography, videography, so he does all like the trendy videos or he knows how to get like a great hook to attract people. So that's definitely the biggest thing I've learned.
Dude, I need to meet him. I need help with my social media ASAP.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like, no, like it's a good thing that you're learning this already from like a young age at 19. It's
for sure.
crazy. And like, what's the plan for like, later down the line?
Later down the line, well, I'm gonna keep doing the part-time job and I hope I can still continue doing it until I graduate, then I can hopefully change it to a full-time job. Yeah. I
Wow.
quite yeah, I like working there. It's like it's great. Um so the best plan would be staying there and keep working and yeah, it's good opportunity and it's been great. Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's amazing. So like, you're gonna stay consistent, keep on
Yeah,
working working what you've been given at,
right.
and dude, like, I can honestly say, I can see you hitting like a mill.
No, no.
Amel, dude, I can see it, I can feel it. I have a vision for these things,
Thank
and I,
you.
I can see it in you. Like it seems like you know what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty driven about it. You're
Right.
passionate about it
Right.
because most people like do tend to get like fed up with the
Right.
entire process of
Yeah.
getting there, but you're
Mm-hmm.
enjoying it, which is like the biggest factor you have
Right,
with
right,
you in
right.
your favor.
Yeah, you gotta love what you do or you gotta do what you love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a sick quote. Yeah. And at times, do you ever feel like, why am I doing this? I'm just
Um,
curious because as a
yeah,
creator, I feel it. But
yeah. I think there are some hard times where I feel I'm not qualified enough for the job or I feel pressured upon expectations from my coworkers, my boss, or like sometimes is, you know, but I think at the end of the day, how I deal with it is you gotta treat yourself sometimes. Yeah. Like you gotta do things that you can tell yourself that, I'm on the right track and I'm having fun, I'm happy. Don't overstress yourself. I found out like I used to be a person who does things like is in a burst of energy. Like I'm always like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, and then I'll finish everything and then I do like all like everything in one day and then I stop doing it again. I found out what works the best, and that would be the number one advice I would give for people is to just do one small thing every day, do one step ahead. Don't, even if you procrastinate, it's fine. It's like, it's hard to just, be like, oh, yeah, I need to stop procrastinating and I'll just
Yeah.
like do it. Like, you gotta find a balance.
Hmm.
You just gotta do like small things every day until you build it up as a habit.
Right.
Yeah. So when you have it as a habit, you do it like just like your daily life. It's not like it's better that way than like just relying it on a burst of energy.
Oh no, I totally agree. Like I actually have to start implementing what he just said because I've got like 50 things on my to-do list for today, and I get through like 20 of them. I'm like, yeah, 30 I'll do tomorrow. And then it's kind of a never-ending process. So I definitely gotta like celebrate the small wins because it's always like, next level, next level, next level, but like you don't really appreciate where you are right now.
Right, right. Yeah. You always just gotta have some fun. You gotta tell yourself you're doing great, but at the same time also sometimes like some um criticism, like criticism toward yourself, seeing what other people do better and learning from it is the most important. Like don't defeat yourself, but take like things in a way where it helps you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. And I've got one or two more questions for you
Yeah,
here. I'm like curious to see your aspect on it or
for
your
sure.
insight on it. So like, is there a particular message
Mm-hmm.
or story, you try to convey through most of your photography? Like, is
Right.
there like one recurring theme that comes up? Like,
So could you
is it,
explain that in a little bit?
oh yeah, so like, is there like one specific theme you tend to like keep on getting out to the world through each of your projects? Is it like, spreading love or happiness sort of situation, or like, is it like,
Mm-hmm.
what's the theme out there?
What's a team out
Like,
there
what's the theme of like what you're trying to put out?
trying to put out? Um, Honestly, not very sure about that. I think for myself, I might have not like thought about that much, or I don't
Mm-hmm.
have something like, oh, I'm trying to change the world or I'm trying
Right.
to create like a lot of positivity. Mostly I do what I do because of just like what I feel sense of achievement
Right.
from. But at the same time, I like doing work that has a sense of soul in it. So what I mean by having a sense of soul in it is to connect with the audience with my content
Mm-hmm.
or you know or it's even like doing a movie. And well, I mean, it's like one of my biggest dreams ever, doing like film movie is like you create like a project that is just you and your audience can connect on, or like you portray what, like I can portray what is inside me to my
Right.
audience, and if they understand it, is like probably, you know that in that sense, like sense of
It's good
achievement.
cinematography, which kind of
Yeah.
connects and resonates with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
audience. No,
Storytelling.
storytelling,
Yeah,
correct.
storytelling.
That's amazing, dude. And I know you started off bad with your mentor. But
Mm-hmm.
if a young guy, like 17, 16-year-old, comes up to you
Yeah,
and like wants to be mentored by you or work with you, what
yeah,
would he do it?
yeah, for sure. There actually yesterday I just went out with I'm mentoring her for photography. She's not doing it professionally.
Right.
She's just doing it for fun and yeah, I'm always like down to teach people. And one funny thing is like MBTI, right? Like the different types of
Oh
personalities.
yeah.
Yeah, MBTI. My MBTI is actually I think ENFJ is like protagonist.
Oh.
Yeah, the name is called protagonist, and but that's not the point. The point is that usually this type of personalities um their career choices are teachers, coaches, or they usually be mentors. Yeah, and that's like being a teacher actually was like one of my like dream careers back then, like being a professor or, just being someone who teaches other people. Teaching is one of my best thing I love to do. Yeah, like seeing others, being inspired from me. Well, that sense of achievement is like out of the roof.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like it feels great. Yeah.
Inspiring young
So,
minds.
yeah, I'm always down if anyone wants to contact me, ask me questions, just like
And
work together. Yeah, I'm always down.
how
Like
can they
as long
contact
as
you?
how can they contact me? They can contact me on Instagram.
And I'll link it down
Definitely,
in the
yeah.
description below.
Link it and then DM me on Instagram or yeah, I should have my email in my Instagram as well, but whatever works is works.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
So guys, that's Max. He's gonna be on the right. He's gonna be literally taking photos of me when I hit my 100K. He's gonna be getting the
For
camera
sure, for
out
sure.
and he's gonna be doing an entire photo shoot with me, being an absolute ass. But anyways, guys, that's Max. Max, do you have any last message or advice you'd like to give the audience?
Any last message I want to let
Yeah,
me
not that
yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna kill him after. Just
No, no, yeah. Let me give me a second. I
take it
think
in.
honestly it comes back to well, according to your situation, but do what you love. Yeah, do what you love is the most important because consistency is the key. Like, I think happiness is the most important thing ever. Is happiness isn't only just you know, money or being rich, being just like successful in your career, but more like doing what you love and getting something out of it. Yeah. Like I forgot what it's called, but there's like a pyramid and then it's like every level of
Those
happiness.
hierarchy of
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And like
yeah.
I think the highest point is called like just like it's kind of like self-esteem, like knowing you have a certain value to something. I think that is what makes you the most happy. Like for example, you work in like a film industry and then you're like a famous director, then that is what I mean by like, you are something out there that gives you or that gives me the like ultimate happiness.
Oh yeah.
So do what you love.
Do what you love,
Yeah,
guys.
and stay consistent.
Stay consistent.
Yeah. Like, there will always be people who doubt you. So gotta beat the haters.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Like just do it consistently. You don't have to be super hardcore about sometimes, it backfires if you do it
mm-hmm.
too hardcore. So my advice is always just like stay consistent and stay humble.
Stay consistent, stay humble. Make
Yeah.
cool shit and the money will follow.
Yeah, for
Awesome,
sure.
guys. Well, that's Max. Give a major shout out to him. He's a busy man and he hopped on the pod. So if you guys want to reach him, his Instagram's gonna be linked in the description below. You guys can reach out to him. Get mentored by him. And I can honestly say, guys, he is someone you definitely want to be mentored by when it comes to photography, videography. This guy
Thank
knows what
you.
he's talking about. So definitely reach out to him. And thanks for hopping on, dude. That was sick.
Thank you. Thank
Awesome,
you.
guys. We'll see you next week. Cheers.